I'm Luke Robinson, the host of Locked on Bama, and my basketball team is the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament.
You are Locked on Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome back into Locked on Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, you and I do a thing. Whenever something good happens to our Alabama Crimson Tide, we play a little ditty. Oh. Woohoo! I had to do the wahoo in there myself because I wasn't going to play it long enough to get to it. But SEC tournament champs, along with SEC regular season champs, along with SEC Freshman of the Year, SEC Player of the Year, SEC Tournament MVP. Jimmy, there's a lot to be excited about. Yes, some people out there are still going to bring up what we all know they're going to bring up. I don't know another way to say it. It's a tragic instance. I feel obligated to say that, and I hate it. I don't wish it wouldn't happen, but it did. But don't let it ruin the moment for you as a fan. Don't let the fact that some people are going to do that. I choose to celebrate this. I really do. I choose to celebrate this moment. It's been fun watching this team. This team really came together quite nicely. I went to Nashville, was going to go for just the two games on Friday and Saturday and come back because my kids had to fly up to Ohio and Arizona respectively. And so I lucked into a box seat and I was like, I guess I'll stick around and go to it. So that's what I did. And I had a blast. And it was a ton of fun and so many big things to talk about. But and then we need to talk about the NCAA tournament. But I'll let you give me your thoughts on Texas A&M game and then the thoughts on winning the tournament in general.
Whew, boy, that's a lot. Texas A&M game. Best game we played in the 3 days. Best team we played in the 3 days. What a convincing win. How about the fact Alabama wins 3 NCAA tournament games? 3 SEC tournament games, all by double digits. Alabama won all season long SEC games by double digits, all season long. It was an emphatic exclamation point on the fact this is the best Alabama team I've ever seen. I'll believe that no matter what happens starting next week, that this was the best team I've ever seen. Doesn't mean it's the most accomplished team. They have to win maybe 3 more games for to seal that deal. But this is the best Alabama basketball team I've seen. Unbelievable that they can play like this with a massive distraction out there. I mean, it's massive, and it doesn't weight them down. It's not perfect in terms of how they play. It's not perfect, for 40 minutes. But overall, to whack the second best team in the SEC like that. I mean, they're the second best team. They were second best in the regular season. They make it to the tournament. Well, there's no doubt who the second best team was. And Alabama won easily. I think this Alabama team hasn't even hit their ceiling. My hope is you get to the second, third, fourth round, and you're playing against a team that's really good. Maybe that's when Alabama plays their best game of the year. That's what you hope for. But what an unbelievable achievement. Hey, I'll go ahead and say on this show, I've been contemplating this all day. It's a strange thing to say. I've said it's the best Alabama basketball team of my lifetime watching Alabama basketball since about 86 forward. Even in season 4, can we just go ahead and say Nate Oats is the best Alabama basketball coach of all time? And hey, I worship at the altar of Webb Sanderson. I do. I worship at that altar. I mean, I'm a huge Wimp fan. And while it was before my time, I fully recognize the historical significance of what C.M. Newton built at Alabama, that Wimp just continued. I realize all that. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm trying not to be so recency bias here. And I'm sure a lot of the old timers are going to say that's just recency bias. But really, I mean, Alabama's the best basketball program in the SEC right now. Not this season, but over 3 seasons. And I know they didn't win it all last year, but if you look at the track record over 3 seasons, Alabama's the best basketball program in this league. It took Nate Oats 1 year to build it. Everyone's going to come calling. Buffalo might come calling for Brian Hodgson. The first name I thought of when the Georgia Tech job opened was Antoine Pellet. I'm just saying, you're at the top when people are going to come start pilfering your staff, and your players are all headed to the NBA. Charles Bediako is playing so good today. I worried today for the first time Bediako would go to the NBA because defensively he's ready for that league. Now, Charles, please stay because you need to work on your offense at least one more year. But the fact that I got to worry about our 4th best player turning pro, I'm just saying that Nate Oats is absolutely, in my mind, as I say it here, it's out loud for the first time, he's the best basketball coach in Alabama history. I almost feel like I ought to apologize to when I say that. But, gosh, look at what Nate's done. And you're on mute.
And I'm muted. I was going to say
I'm on mute. Drink.
I was so excited I had to mute myself. No, but I am on mute, but I'm not anymore. Obviously, you can hear me. No, I'm with you. I think he is. And look, Jimmy, I'm going to tell you, like every time I'll get so excited about this, it's always like the yeah, but thing that sort of sticks out there. And I don't want to, you can't even say, boy, I wish it'd go away, because you got to remember somebody did perish in this and a family was affected and whatever. And it's so hard to, talk about any of this. It's difficult, but that's why I'm just going to say right now, I'm just choosing to celebrate and choosing to enjoy this. And I choose to believe that Nate Oats is the best coach in Alabama history. And I think we need to hang on to him, whatever it takes. And look, if we're going to lose assistant coaches, that's part of the deal. If you are a really good coach, you lose assistants. But I want to stay focused on this game from Texas A&M for just a second against Texas A&M. Man, the defensive effort is what really did it for me. I mean, 5 blocks from Bediako, which, by the way, you're absolutely right. Today, he played like a guy that can play in the NBA. Like, no, is he going to be a star? No, he's not going to be a star. But he's going to be a heck of a defensive player. And you can make a bunch of money and play upwards of 10 years doing what he did today. He might need to bulk up a little bit, some things like that. So that's why I want him back for another year. Even Rylan Griffin, why do I have this infatuation with Rylan Griffin? I don't know. I just love the kid. And when he missed his first 3-pointer today, and if I remember right, it like circled the rim and then went out. And then he splashed his second one. I was like, oh God, yeah. I was like, yes, and then he missed a few other shots after that. But you know what he did? He had some hustle plays. And even on his hustle plays, a couple of times he saved the ball from going out of bounds. He threw it right to an A&M guy. But I mean, see, a guy who's coached even Little League like me, I can see that and go, okay, as long as you keep doing things like that, you'll get to play. Yes, it led to a Texas A&M fast break, but you did everything you could to help the team then. And there was nothing. If you don't hustle and they just get the ball, so be it. But I know what you're made of, and I see what you're doing now. Nick Pringle out there dancing with the players, dancing with Big Al. Nick Pringle's he's a full out 100% Bammer now. I mean, he's just a Bammer. He's like a regular old, just run of the mill Bammer. Brandon Miller and Nate Oats embracing was awesome. Boy, just so much to be excited about. Such a fun game to beat 3 teams in 3 days, all by double digits at a time when 8 teams from the SEC go dancing, which ties a record, is pretty unbelievable. Just a lot to be excited about. So we're going to keep talking about this right after I tell you about Built Bars. You know how much I love Built Bars too. The Built Bar March Madness bracket is here. We know you have a favorite bar or puff, and now's the time to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com. That's BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. Please go do this for us. I'll be voting for probably the churro bar. That's my favorite. I love that thing. And if you want some other puff, so you want the coconut almond, you want the peanut butter brownie, whatever, to win, you'll be voting for that bar. So you go to BuiltMarchMadness.com. And when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you'll be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will get a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You got to try Built. Built is the best protein bar ever. Seriously, they're so amazing you won't think they're good for you. What makes Built bars and puffs so good? Well, for starters, they're all high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% real chocolate. Can't beat that. Run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff. Pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March. So hop in and support your pick. Also want to thank you, because I didn't do it earlier, for making us your first listen. You guys are great. Also want to say check out Locked On College Basketball. They've got a Locked On College Basketball breakdown episode. That's going to be really good, so go check that out. Jimmy, before we get into a little bit more about this game and the season as a whole, and we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament and where Alabama's seated here in this third segment. First of all, I had like 5 or 6 people seriously come up to me in Nashville over the 2 days that I was there and tell me, you're the guy from the podcast, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, love you. And I mean, I took a picture with one of them. I might put his picture in a minute. I don't remember any of your names. I'm terrible at names. Please don't take that. You didn't remember my name. You said you're the guy from the podcast. So tit for tat. I even had, I'm not kidding. Like, this is not me tooting our horn. I had a guy when Alabama was about to play Missouri, and we were sitting in their seats because I had such bad seats that me and my children moved to some other seats. And so we were sitting.
Busted. Did you blame it on your kids?
I kind of did. I said, I told you, Walker. He was crying. Anyway, the Missouri guy goes, hey, you have a podcast, right? And I said, yeah. He said, I like listening to you. He was full Missouri. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Anyway, the Missouri guy that does the Missouri Locked On, John Miller, is a friend of the show and a fantastic dude.
Yeah, but this wasn't him. This wasn't.
I know. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's probably how the guy found us.
And I also realized that yesterday, or the last podcast, when I told y'all that me and my family got a picture with Paul Feinbaum, I forgot to post it. There it is, me looking like some kind of giant next to Paul Feinbaum. And then my daughter and I took a picture with the Bush's baked bean dog, which had to be the most patient dog I've ever seen in my life. I mean, my daughter was like, that dog's been through a lot. I mean, like, there's a line of people, and that dog was like, this job is rough. Sorry.
Were you smoking a cigarette between takes?
Anyway, so he's smoking a cigarette. So, and there was the other thing. Like, did y'all know Bush's Baked Beans is the official baked bean?
I knew that. I knew that from SEC Media Days starting last summer. They made a big deal of it during football media days. And I told you, I haven't done it yet. I apologize to Bush's, but I'm going to eat it for that reason alone. I want to try it to show their marketing campaign worked. I'm eventually going to buy your can of baked beans and give it a shot.
There we go. They were giving away like a year's supply of baked beans. I was like, that's a lot of baked beans for a year. But anyway, so going back to the game for a second, JQ, he's on one now. He's on one right now. He's on a heater.
Talking about Jamarch Quinterly?
Jamarch Quinterly. He had 1 point against Missouri or whatever. He didn't look good at all. And then against Texas A&M, he just comes out and he's just throwing darts, and he's making passes, and he's getting technicals because of his trash talk. He's making Buzz Williams, who looks like a blackjack dealer who's 6 months away from retirement. He makes him super mad. But boy, he's playing really, really well. And when he comes back for that 7th year next year, people are going to be mad about it, but not me. I love me some Javon Quinterly.
He's going to be old if Javon comes back next year, and he might. By the way, if y'all are into inside scoop, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying there is conversation that could really happen, that Javon Quinterly comes back, and if he does, how about this factoid? He'll be older than A'Shawn Robinson looked.
That is true. That's like he will literally be A'Shawn Robinson's.
Can you imagine how popular JQ would be if he came back?
Oh, God.
The popularity would be through the roof. I'm not saying he's the greatest Alabama point guard of all time. I'm just saying he would be immensely all-time Herb Jones level popular if he came back.
It is funny. Like we after this tournament, I mean, if Javon were to go on and want to play in Europe, I mean, he's not going to play in the NBA probably. I mean, he might give it a whirl, but whatever. And let's say Bediako continues this stellar play, and let's say he's like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, and just see what's up. And let's say he gets a late first grade, which is not crazy. We could lose Javon, we could lose Bediako, we could lose Miller, we could lose Clowney, who is in a lot of first round mocks, lose Gurley, lose Welch, who a lot of people say, well, what's the big deal? Welch was just coming on until he busted up his tailbone. So yeah, I mean, that could be a big deal, but that's for next year. For this year, we still got to we just got to be excited. I mean, you just got to be enjoying this. I've had some, it's funny. I had a guy on a text chain, and maybe he was doing this facetiously. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but he said, somebody else said, I just hope we don't lose to Maryland or West Virginia in the second round. And he said, man, if Nate Oats loses to one of those two clowns, he's just like Rick Barnes. And I said, I was like, easy stomach. And I mean, I had to chime in, and I was like, dude, we just won the SEC regular season for the second time in 2 years. Just won the SEC tournament second time in 2 years. He's had the SEC Player of the Year second time in 3 years. I said 2 years, other time 3 years. We have the SEC tournament MVP for the second time in 3 years. I mean, we've done everything we can. He's been to the Sweet 16. Yes, we didn't look good against Notre Dame last year, but so what? That's going to happen. Duke got beat by Mercer one year. It happens.
Jamar tore up his knee in the second minute.
Correct. I forgot about that. Thank you, Jim. But and I wanted to throw these little statistics out there too. This is courtesy of somebody on Bama Online. And they were doing it in comparison to Auburn, taking a shot at Auburn, but I'm not going to do it that way. I just want to tell you about the Alabama side. SEC regular season championships, Alabama now has 11. That's tied for the second most in the conference. Obviously behind Kentucky. All of this is behind Kentucky. We all know that.
They have 1 million. They have 1 million, exactly.
SEC tournament championships, Alabama has 8. That's second behind Kentucky. SEC Player of the Year awards, 6. Now, I don't know where that lands. I mean, I'm sure Kentucky has practically all of them.
1 million.
But that's pretty. I mean, again, for people who like to say that Alabama is new to the basketball scene, we're pretty historically good. I mean,
pretty good.
And it's okay to celebrate this. Props to Alabama fans who showed out in Nashville. I'm going to say that, like,
great on TV, by the way. It looked great on TV. I know you were there.
Yeah.
And I was on TV. I was watching on TV. The support on TV looked fantastic.
A&M had 13 people there, and 6 of them were there because they thought Buzz Williams had a shift change and was going to the 25-50 table. He does look like a blackjack dealer. I'm sorry. The vest, the whole thing.
Shout out to our buddy point guard. That I think our buddy point guard.
Yes, he did say that. Thanks for ruining the joke people thought I had, and instead I stole it.
I'm going to give credit to somebody else.
All right. Let me tell everybody about FanDuel. All right. FanDuel, great time to go get it. Lots going on. The midway point of the NBA season and the NCAA tournament is here. And now's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get that no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, super easy to use. And then you can bet on everything you want to, especially the NCAA tournament. Go get you some. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. You go there, you learn more, make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, Jimmy, we're in the NCAA tournament with the #1 overall seed. It's never happened before. It's fantastic. It feels so good when it hits your lips. And we open up with, team soup can versus team soup can #2. Okay, we don't even need to talk about them so much. That game's going to be at 1:50 in Birmingham. We can talk about them. I don't know anything about them yet. They play in the that Tuesday game that nobody's going to watch on True TV. That's what they do. I'm not going to even watch it. That's how few people are going to watch it. And then we play the winner of Maryland, West Virginia. Okay, now it's getting a little sexy. Maryland is not bad. Here's some funky stuff. Like the NCAA tournament to me always has like a sense of humor. All right, so Maryland, by the way, is the team we played in the round of 32 3 years ago, and we beat the tar out of them, to go to the Sweet 16 and play UCLA.
They have one of our former players. They have Galen Smith or somebody. I mean, who do they have?
They did have Galen Smith, yeah.
Yeah. They had one of our former players when we played them.
That's right. Then, or we could play West Virginia, and that is a West Virginia, who has a worse record, scares me more than Maryland. It might not should. Maybe I don't know as much about Maryland as I should, because occasionally I forget they're still in the Big Ten. I
always want to say they're in the ACC, but they're in the Big Ten. I always want to say Maryland of the ACC.
Me too. But anyway, so West Virginia with Huggy Bear. By the way, Huggy Bear, work a Built Bar in for a meal occasionally, okay? Bruh. Anyway, but West Virginia has that kid who lit Auburn up in
they beat Auburn, right?
Their place in West Virginia earlier this year. They beat Auburn. So they could be a problem. And Huggy Bear's a good coach, man. He can get after it. So we'll talk about that a little more. But then the Sweet 16, and I know the committee didn't do this, but boy, how cool would it be to go to Louisville and exercise some demons from the 1986-87 season, where we got put out by Rick Pitino and Billy Donovan and Providence in Louisville. It'd be nice to go to Louisville and get that out, get that over with, and erase that memory. What did you think about the bracket on the whole for Alabama?
I really liked it. I mean, I really think that it's not just extremely fair, but like, as the bracket was unfolding, I'm like, we can do this. We can do this. We can beat them. We can beat. Hey, we can beat them. And the fact of the matter is this, Luke. It just goes with having a really good team. I think in the past, Alabama teams that have barely scraped into the tournament, and we're a 10 or an 11 or a 9, and we play, even Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. I mean, I'll be like, it's because we have this team. I feel real confident about virtually anyone we play. And that's why I'm like, do you think we got a good draw? Yeah, with this team, yeah, sure. I feel confident about the first game, and because we've done really well about not overlooking teams and playing to the standard. Second game, I'm going to be nervous about because it's a losable game in the sense that those are both good teams, some good leagues, and anyone from the Big 12 should scare you. Look, any Alabama fan that's like, West Virginia, what are they, 19-12? Yeah, West Virginia finished in the Big 12 ahead of Oklahoma, who beat us badly, frankly. So any Big 12 team should worry Alabama. And if Maryland beats the Big 12 team to face us, we should worry. Yeah, the second round is a big deal. First of all, getting to the Sweet 16 is our historical wall. I mean, winning a second round NCAA game, it means something hugely historically significant at Alabama. So let's not take the weekend game lightly. If you want to say Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, or Southeast Missouri is we'll just cruise. I don't like it, but okay. But this weekend, that's a real basketball game right there. It's going to take a real effort and a real solid game by Alabama to advance this weekend, because Maryland and West Virginia is good. And again, Alabama lost to a Big 12 team ranked, if you want to put it that way, lower than West Virginia.
Dick Vitale has already put us as the national championship, a national champion. He's called us their national champ. I think Reese Davis had us in the Final Four. I don't know if he predicted a winner. Some other guys from ESPN, it was odd. ESPN gave their quick brackets, and they all gave it to the Elite Eight and then in their Final Fours. I think two of them might have had Alabama and Creighton in the Elite Eight, which Creighton, and Alabama at least have a tiny bit of history in the NCAA tournament.
Doug McDermott. I'll never flush that name.
A matchup that could be very interesting would be Alabama-Virginia as a 1 versus 4 in the Sweet 16 in Louisville. Virginia has a fantastic perimeter defense. I've seen them play a little bit this year, but they should have lost to Duke at home. They were the beneficiary of a terrible call at the very end. It's rare that we blame them, but they really got hosed on a terrible call at the literal very end of the game, or got help. Excuse me, not hosed. And then Duke beat them again in the ACC tournament. But assuming, that we don't have to play like San Diego State, which is also a very long and very old team. They got like 3 fifth-year seniors that play. I've learned a little bit about them. Overall in the SEC, look, I'm happy the SEC got 8 teams. Somebody's got to explain to me. I mean, like a lot of friends of mine who are Auburn fans were like, yeah, I just hope we get to Birmingham. I'm like, why would they put Auburn in Birmingham? That gives Auburn an advantage. And lo and behold, they put Auburn in Birmingham. If I'm Iowa or I'm Houston, I'm pissed. I mean, this is stupid. Now, I'm thrilled for Birmingham. It's great for the city of Birmingham. And I'm an advocate for the city of Birmingham. I'm an advocate for the BJCC because I go there and do the AHSA stuff every year. And it's a great facility, and it'll be fun, and it'll be packed. But see, this is what gets me about the NCAA tournament, and everybody always talking about it, it's all played on the field much more fair. Auburn is the 9th seed, and they have a home advantage, a distinct one, a big one, over Iowa, who's an 8th seed, supposedly a better seed, and over Houston, who's got to come all the way from Houston, obviously. So I just didn't understand that. The only reason I can think they put Texas A&M at a 7 is because they're saying you got to schedule better.
Right.
That's the only thing. Now,
yeah, that jumped off the screen at me that I was a little upset about. How can you be number 2 in the SEC and make it to the SEC tournament final, totally justifying all of it? I mean, unquestionably number 2 SEC team, a 7 seed, but I'm not saying they manipulated it so they could play Texas in round 2. I'm not saying they did. I actually don't believe they did. But boy, what a delicious second round game, Texas A&M and Texas.
I do like that.
That's.
I also wonder
ratings in Texas.
Also like the potential Arkansas Kansas, which is the battle for the real Kansas. Kansas or regular
Kansas or just Kansas?
Kentucky getting a 6 and Tennessee getting a 4 when A&M gets a 7 is confusing to me. I just don't understand that too terribly much. But Missouri being the same number seed as Texas A&M, and I know Missouri played Kansas, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any other big names Missouri played. They may have played Illinois too. But I mean, I'm just sort of like, hey, look, Texas A&M's deserve something for being second. And it wasn't like they tied for second in the SEC. They were clearly second, and they beat us. They're one of our 2 losses. So they also beat Kentucky, by the way. They also beat Tennessee, by the way. So, I mean, all these teams that are seated ahead of them, they beat them. Now, Alabama beat the brakes off of them today, but I'm no Texas A&M apologist. It's one of those things that just sort of, I don't know, it confused me a little bit. But regardless, today is Alabama's day, and it's a great day. And I had a blast, and it was so much fun being there, and the celebration and the whole 9 yards. And so let's soak this up because it's not going to be this way all the time, right? Yeah, drink up, Jimmy, your sparkling cider.
Yeah. I mean, it really is a celebratory day. One of the great days. I hope people realize that this is one of the great days in Alabama basketball history. Maybe number 1, based on the fact that the most Alabama's ever achieved trophy-wise is SEC regular championships, regular season, SEC tournament championships, getting to the Sweet 16, and one time getting to the Elite 8. I think you could argue being the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament is arguably the greatest Alabama basketball accomplishment of all time. You could argue that it is. Today is a day to celebrate. And I'm so happy for those kids who have been through so much. And Nate Oats, who is, as we said today on the show, the greatest Alabama basketball coach of all time, coaching the greatest Alabama player of all time. And we're going to find out after what I would argue 3 more games, unquestionably then the best Alabama team of all time.
All they got to do is win one more game, and they got 30 wins. I mean, they already got the record. And it should be noted that the Wooden Award Committee did fix their screw-up, and they put – they released their final 15 and they left Brandon Miller off of it. Well, they added him on and said, we're just going to have 16 because they've been watching him play and go, yeah, he's really good.
I think it's because they read the ESPN.com story and realized maybe they should have looked into the facts instead of just reading mean tweets.
Very true. All right, buddy, let's go watch and pretend like we care about the Oscars for a minute. And until tomorrow, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.